Peace, peace. Was good, was good. I know y'all probably tired of hearing the politics, but yeah, I'm talking on anyway. I'm looking at the way Trump is handling the border crisis, and I'm glad that again these migrants are leaving because they haven't came in this country legally. I have an issue with that when they was giving us all our tax money to them and support for them. But I really feel the way they are handling or the way they're going to handle the them getting kicked out, they need to have a little bit more compassion for them in the way they treat them. Like, you know, when they get past the border, and you got women with children, you got people walking in desert lands and crossing over crazy terrain, you know what I'm saying? Um, all of and suffering from dehydration, and a lot of people are dying from dehydration because they're not getting water, um, they're not getting any food, they're exposed to all kinds of wildlife, they're exposed to the cartel that they was running from, that they owe debts to, these coyote bandits that they owe debts to is out in that terrain. They have to cross the Rio Grande, where Eagle passes around over there where that water is, and people are suffering like drowning. You know what I'm saying? And they gotta worry about it. The military and border patrol that are insensitive to their needs, and they're just victims. They have children they're carrying, and they're just helpless and they're hopeless, and they're just prey amongst a whole bunch of wolves in a field. I feel that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden need to be charged with these types of criminal activities. They need to be incarcerated, and they need to be, the whole Democratic regime needs to be sued, and some of that finances needs to fund them as well for giving them false promises for a better future in America. You know? Here they was giving hotel stay. They was giving charter planes, buses, and everything like that, welcoming them in the border. They didn't get a chance to access any jobs yet. Their monthly cards they was getting through the food stamps and all this stuff is they was being spoiled in a sense. They was getting access to cars through the DMV, getting getting licenses and all other stuff. And the next you know, when Trump wins, they got kicked out. And a lot of them wasn't even settled yet. They were still living in tents, all in fields, you know. They was living in hotels. Some were very expensive, and some was only like for 30 days vouchers. So they was left out in the streets. That's why they was doing a lot of crime too. So I do have slight compassion for them because they was led by false promises. They was trying to seek refuge in this country from their country, from the treatment and the harsh realities of their country, trying to escape with their children. And what they were subjected to, we can't, as American citizens, can't even imagine what they were subjected to. Imagine walking miles and miles and miles of desert terrain, and it'd be freezing cold, and you got infant children with you, and you ducking and hiding from the cartel. Your life savings is on you. All you have maybe is $500 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever amount of pesos you may have, and you got a choice between trying to feed your children or surrender to the cartel and give them what you have just to survive, and go for false promises to take you to by blind faith to the U.S. Not knowing where you're going, and they treating you harshly. They're raping you. They're abusing you. They're forcing you to take drugs to the country and smoke drugs to the country. And if you don't, then your family's life and your life is at stake. So they was stuck in all kinds of entrapments and extortions. And they're out there in the cold, in the midst of being, imagine being caught out there in the wild with real coyotes, wolves, all that stuff is out there. Snakes being bitten. You got no weapons. You got no clothing really. Trying to come to a country that you've been led by false promises on. Just imagine that. See, we've been so comfortable and spoiled in America. We just watch a lot of things on the news and what we see around the way. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know all the type of stuff they went through. You know? Understand why they were in Trinidad and Nicaragua. You know what I'm saying? The gangs and all that stuff, because it's survival of the fittest. You forced to pay your debt for being in the country. You have no place to go. You're on unknown ground. You're vulnerable. A lot of sanctuary cities is up north. It's winter time's coming. They're from a hot climate, so they're not even truly prepared to face that type of weather. Just to live in tents, just to be ostracized and put out in the streets and lay on the streets. And you got children. You was allowed in a hotel for maybe 30 days or 20 days, and you get kicked out for the next group, and you have nowhere to go. You have no access to no job. You can't speak the language. Just for another president to come in and say you got to get out. So all the stuff that you suffered now, you'll lose it in your mind. There's a lot of people that probably committed suicide. All the stuff they suffered and try to, with their kids, their children, for a promise for a better future. We hear about drownings, and then the border patrol, they see you, they beat you, throw you out there. You very thirsty. You had nothing to eat for like days. Whatever you had to eat, you give to your children so they get, you got to force to swim. And if you can't swim, you just assed out. You got to put your kids through barbed wire fences, hoping that razor wire will cut through you and your children. So you making yourself as a human shield to cover your children against this razor wire. Putting yourself at risk if you get through the razor wire. You got the cartel, you got the gang members, you got the bandits, the coyote bandits up there waiting on you, hoping they don't kill you. You know what I'm saying? Because you had a debt that was owed. And they about that money. And you can't get back in that country. And the border control is ready to shoot you on sight. And they're not sensitive to you. And you don't want to get thrown into a FEMA camp or anything like that. What do? You left your home, so you are literally homeless with your little kids. All of the false promises from the president and Kamala Harris. They should be the Democratic regime need to be sued. They need to bring some type of aid and still assist them with some type of aid and make sure they're properly back into their countries safely. They need this government and the Mexican government and whatever country they came from need to work hand in hand, since Trump is in cahoots now with all these other foreign prime ministers and presidents, to make sure these people are accepted back home safely. Not just safely, but provided right. And the Democratic regime need to be sued and charged. All the blood that's on their hands from so many migrants that died in the process of coming there and back. Sex traffic, so many children dead. So many women dead. So many not found. You know what I'm saying? They need to be charged almost like genocide. War crimes. The nerve of the Democratic Party want to still try to find ways to get Kamala Harris to spend, 30 days to be a president, trying to get Biden out. They all need to be in jail for stealing the money, using our money illegally to support them for whatever financial gain they're supposed to be getting, leaving these people out there on the street in our country, homeless, in the shelters. So many of our citizens who were killed by them, as far as criminals, being essaying our little children, killing our children off, these gang members and these hardcore criminals from these countries. The Democratic regime, the whole deep state needed to be straight up locked up and in prison for real. Assets taken from them and given to us and portions to them. Because it ain't right for them to be left unscathed like that. Blood is on their hands. Blood is on Kamala Harris' hands as a border czar. It's not right that independent states like Texas has to and Florida has to find ways to fend off trying to patrol the border best when using their resources the best way they can without the federal aid. All because they're Republican. You know what I'm saying? That ain't fair to them. That ain't fair to Texas and Florida. They have to rely on Indiana or other certain independent states. They try to get their national reserves to come over there to help out with the border crisis. It was on their watch that fence that Trump built back in 2016 wasn't complete and allowed all this to come through. Allowed the floodgates to come through. So many people was in our side and their side was kidnapped, taken, killed, murdered, all for their watch, all under their watch. Democratic regime. They spent our tax money on these daggone concerts from Oprah and Beyonce and J-Lo and whoever. They got nothing to show for it. Now they in debt. And they still want Kamala Harris to still be president. This is so wicked, yo. This deep state is so wicked. Wicked. Blood is on their hands. And I trust God, Father God, that you cover these migrants and protect these migrants. You provide for these migrants as they head to their journey. That no weapon formed against them shall prosper in Jesus Christ's name. I thank you that Trump is in office, but I trust God that it would be some sort of compassion with this eviction, immigration eviction. You know what I'm saying? That they will be provided for and kind of be protected from Mexico and U.S. You know? It's not fair to them. You know what I mean? I'm for Trump and I'm for what he represents, but it has to be a certain way and a certain protocol how to handle these people because it's not their fault why they're here. These children shouldn't have to, and these victims, innocent people, should not have to suffer like that. Everybody's not a criminal that's a migrant. Everybody's not a gang member or a rapist that's a migrant. Everybody's not a drug smuggler or a trafficker, even though they use these channels to get through what they got to get through. But I ask God for his mercy and his grace to cover for these people. And I hope that everybody else who may ever hear this have some sort of compassion too, and there won't be a bigot to the point where they so prejudiced and brainwashed and patriotic indoctrinated off of what Trump be saying, that they don't have some sort of compassion for human compassion, because that could be you. If you put yourself in them shoes, could you even go through half of the stuff that he went through? Could you even go through half of the stuff? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I understand why gangs is formed. It's like American gangs. You know? If they can't get refuge from the government and they can't trust the government and they doing everything to live as a citizen and they still being let down, I see why people form coalitions amongst each other and have a treaty and a trust amongst each other where I wash their hand, you know what I'm saying? I wash your hands, you wash my hands. Like, I got your back, you got mine. We'll provide for each other just to eat. You know what I mean? If I could provide the bread, you could provide the clothes. We could come as a team and form. Understand that. Understand. You know what I'm saying? But blood is on these Democrats' hands, straight up and down. Easy.